All right, everybody, welcome back. We are diving deep today.
Into the human mind.
Yeah. 51 nuggets of psychology and human behavior from this video we found.
Oh, it's going to be fascinating. I was just looking at these.
Yeah. I mean, 51. We're not going to get to all of them.
No.
But we're going to get to as many as we can.
We'll hit the highlights.
And I think it's so interesting because, all this stuff is going on.
In our heads.
All the time.
Yeah.
And we don't even realize it.
And we think we're in control.
Right.
Right. But we're not. So much is happening subconsciously.
Well, let's get into that. Let's start with habits and decisions.
Yeah.
Okay, so we all know it takes a while to form a habit, but according to this video...
It's 66 days.
66 days.
That's a long time.
That's a specific number. I've heard, 21 days, 30 days.
Yeah.
But 66, that's interesting.
I like that they got specific, so that's something to think about. If you're really trying to instill a new habit.
Yeah, you got to commit 2 months, more than 2 months.
That's a commitment.
Yeah. Okay, so here's one that I thought was really interesting. Our minds wander 30% of the time.
Really?
I know. And even more while we're driving.
That's a little scary.
I know. It's at up to 70% on quiet roads. So if you're on like a country road.
That's terrifying.
And your mind's wandering 70% of the time, you're probably going to hit a deer.
Exactly. Or a tree.
Yeah. So what do we do? Like, how do we combat that?
Well, mindfulness, right?
Yeah, being in the moment.
Being present.
Consciously being present.
Meditation, even.
Yeah.
But really just trying to, even if you're driving, just noticing things.
Yeah.
Noticing the trees, noticing the, whatever's there.
And signs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try to keep your...
Subconscious.
Yeah.
Okay. 95% of our decisions are subconscious. That just blew my mind.
That's a lot.
I mean, we think we are in control, but 95% of the time.
We're not. Our subconscious is.
Our subconscious is running the show.
It's kind of a scary thought.
Right. Like, how much free will do we actually have?
Well, and it makes you think about, all the influences that affect our subconscious.
Exactly.
Like, what are those things? How are they shaping our decisions?
Yeah. And maybe we need to be more aware of them.
Absolutely. More aware of those influences, yeah.
Okay, let's move on to emotions and relationships.
Okay.
Emotional pain can trigger physical pain.
Oh, yeah, like a broken heart.
Like, literally, you can feel it in your chest.
It's not just a metaphor.
No. And, they said it's because your brain releases these hormones when you're stressed.
Right.
That trigger pain receptors.
Wow. So it's a real physical sensation.
It is a real physical sensation.
Right.
It's not just something we make up in our heads.
Right.
So it's important to take care of our emotional health just like we take care of our physical health.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about loneliness.
Oh, yeah.
Because chronic loneliness can really impact our health.
Mental and physical.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it can lead to depression, anxiety, heart disease, all kinds of things.
Yeah, we're social creatures. We need connection.
We need connection. Okay, so Dunbar's number. Have you heard of this?
I've heard of this, yeah.
This is the number of stable relationships we can maintain.
And it's, what, 150?
150. It's a lot.
I know. It's a lot more than I thought.
More than I would guessed. It makes you think about, who are those 150 people?
Right. Who makes the cut?
Yeah. Who's in your inner circle?
And are you nurturing those relationships?
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's move on to personality and behavior.
Okay.
Self-fulfilling prophecies. This is where, your beliefs about yourself or others can actually influence the outcome.
It's like you create your own reality.
Yes. So, for example, if you think you're going to fail a test...
You probably will.
You probably will because you're not going to study as hard.
Yeah.
Or if you think someone's going to be mean to you.
You might act in a way that makes them mean to you.
Exactly. So it's really pay attention to those thoughts.
It's powerful.
Okay. Sunk cost fallacy.
Oh, I've definitely experienced this one. This is where you keep investing in something.
Even though it's not working.
Yeah, because you've already invested so much.
Yeah, time, money, energy.
Like the classy example is like a failing relationship.
Right. Or a project that's just going nowhere.
Yes. But you just keep putting more and more into it.
Because you don't want to admit that you've wasted all that time and effort.
Exactly. So that's something to watch out for.
Yeah.
Like when you're in a situation and it's not working.
Know when to cut your losses?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Our sense of control might be an illusion.
Yeah, it's a trippy one, right?
It's a head scratcher.
Yeah. How much control do we actually have?
I mean, we like to think we're in the driver's seat.
Right.
But maybe we're not.
Maybe it's all just an illusion.
Maybe our brains are just making us think we're in control.
Or maybe it's a combination of both. We have some control,
Okay.
but not as much as we think.
All right, let's move on to learning and development. This is fascinating.
Mm.
Okay. Mirror neurons. Have you heard of this?
I have, yeah. They're pretty cool.
They're pretty cool. These are the neurons that fire both when we do something
Yeah.
and when we see someone else doing something.
Like if I see you pick up that coffee cup,
Yeah.
the neurons in my brain fire as if I was picking up the cup myself.
That's incredible.
I know, right?
So, like, we're learning by watching.
Yeah. It's the basis of empathy, too.
Yeah.
And social learning.
Yeah, so the next time you're trying to learn something new, just watch someone who's good at it.
And your mirror neurons will kick in.
Yeah, okay. Dopamine. Everyone loves dopamine.
It's a feel-good chemical.
It's a feel-good chemical. But it's not just about pleasure, right? It's also about motivation.
Yeah, and learning. And curiosity.
So when we learn something new or we achieve a goal,
Dopamine gets released. And that makes us feel good.
and it makes us want to do it again.
Exactly. It's a reward system.
Yeah. So embrace the dopamine. Okay, nature versus nurture
The classic debate.
when it comes to intelligence.
It's not one or the other, right?
No, it's both.
It's a combination.
It's both. Our genes play a role, but also our environment.
Our experiences, our upbringing.
Yeah. So you can be born with the potential to be really intelligent,
Right.
but if you don't have the right environment,
That potential might not be realized.
exactly. Okay, psychological phenomena. This is where it gets really fun. Confirmation bias.
Oh, this one's everywhere.
This is where we seek out information that confirms what we already believe,
Even if it's wrong.
even if it's wrong. So, like, if you believe that all politicians are corrupt,
You'll probably only notice the stories about corrupt politicians.
right, and you'll ignore all the stories about the good ones.
And that will just strengthen your belief.
Exactly. So we got to be careful with that.
Definitely. Be open-minded.
Reactance.
Yeah.
This is where, like, if someone tells you you can't do something,
You want to do it even more.
you want to do it even more.
It's like reverse psychology.
Yeah, yeah. So, like, if your parents tell you you can't dye your hair blue,
You're like, I'm going to dye it bluer. Yeah.
exactly. Okay, cute aggression. This one's hilarious.
I love this one.
So, have you ever seen, like, a little puppy
Or a kitten.
or a baby?
And you just want to squeeze
You
it.
just want to squeeze it.
Not in a mean way.
No.
You just want to, like, squeeze all the cuteness out of it.
Yeah. Because it's just so overwhelming. It's like,
Your brain can't handle it.
too much.
So you have this, like, aggressive urge.
So cute.
Yeah.
Okay, memory and perception. Serial position effect.
I've definitely noticed this one.
We remember the beginning and the end of things better than the middle.
Yeah, like a list of words.
Yes.
You remember the first few and the last few.
Exactly. And this is important if you're, like, giving a presentation.
Or telling a story.
Yeah.
You want to make sure the beginning and the end are strong.
Yes. All right, false memories.
This one's kind of scary.
This is where, like, we think we remember something.
But it never actually happened.
Yeah, or to happen differently than we remember.
Yeah.
And this is because our brains are constantly trying to make sense of things.
And sometimes they fill in the gaps.
Yeah. So be careful what you believe.
Especially your own memories.
Okay, pareidolia.
Mm.
This is where we see patterns in faces.
In random things.
Yes.
Like clouds.
Clouds.
Toast.
Toast.
The moon.
Yeah.
It's our brains trying to find order in chaos.
Yeah. So next time you see a bunny rabbit in a cloud,
Don't worry, you're not losing it.
you're not losing it.
It's just pareidolia.
All right, social influence. This is where, like, other people affect our thoughts and behaviors.
Which is all the time.
All the time.
Ew.
Okay, the fundamental attribution error.
This one's a classic.
This is where we overemphasize personality traits.
And underestimate situational factors.
Yeah. So, like, if someone cuts us off in traffic,
We assume they're just a jerk.
a jerk.
But maybe they're having a bad day.
Right, or they're rushing to the hospital.
Exactly.
So we got to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, cut them some slack.
Okay, the third person effect.
This one's interesting.
This is where we think other people are more susceptible to persuasion
Than we are.
than we are.
Like, we think we're immune to advertising.
Yeah, but everyone else is influenced by it.
Exactly.
But guess what?
We're all influenced by it.
You're all influenced by it.
To some degree.
So be aware of that. Okay, the dopamine loop.
This is a big one in the digital age.
This is where we get those little hits of dopamine
From social media,
from social media,
from notifications,
from the news.
from games.
Yeah, anything that gives us that little, like,
That little buzz.
little buzz.
And it keeps us coming back for more.
Yes. So be mindful of your screen time.
And your dopamine intake.
Okay, personal growth and development. We're almost there, folks.
We're getting there.
The reminiscence bump.
Ah, memories.
This is where we remember our teens and early 20s.
More vividly than other times in our lives.
Yes. Why is that?
Because that's when a lot of big life events happen.
Like graduating high school,
Going to college.
first love, first job.
Yeah, it's all happening.
And our brains are like, this is important. We got to remember this.
Exactly. Okay, self-distancing.
This is a good one.
This is where, like, when you're in a situation, you try to look at it from an outside perspective.
Like you're a fly on the wall,
Yes.
observing yourself.
So if you're having an argument with someone,
You can try to step back and see both sides of the story.
yeah, it can help you be less reactive,
More objective.
more objective. And lastly, volunteering.
Ah, helping others.
Helping others. It's good for you.
So good for you.
It reduces stress,
Boosts happiness.
improves your health.
Increases your lifespan.
Wow. Volunteering's the best.
It's a win-win.
Well, folks, there you have it.
51 nuggets of psychology.
Or, well, maybe like 40.
We didn't get to all of them.
But hopefully this has given you some food for thought.
Some insights into the human mind.
And maybe some tools to help you navigate this crazy world.
Absolutely. So keep exploring
Keep learning
and keep diving deep,
into the mysteries of human behavior.
because the more you understand yourself
The more you understand others.
and the better equipped you are to live a happy and fulfilling life.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
All right, folks, that's it for today. Until next time.
See ya.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.